Before we get started, I would just ask you all to keep yourselves muted if you're not speaking to ensure a smooth transition throughout the entire event. Thank you very much. Yes, so tonight's session is another opportunity to engage in a conversation around a topic that is more often than not excluded out of conversations with entrepreneurs: failure. During the past Overcoming Failure Night event we held in June with Yusuf from Bag Innovation and Kevin from Zurich ANY, we were impressed with the level of engagement, both from the speakers and the audience, interacting and sharing their experiences with failure. We really got to the core of doing business, but that is not enough. More and more young entrepreneurs need to become comfortable talking about failure. And that is why tonight we are hosting our second Overcoming Failure event. At Impact Hub Kigali, we believe that in order to live our mission of serving the community, facilitating collaboration, and driving positive and sustainable change to be the home to the innovators, dreamers, and entrepreneurs who are generating practical solutions to the world's most pressing concerns, we also need to allow an environment where our community is free to talk about failure as much as success. Together with the YET Chapter Rwanda and the YET Global Community powered by the International Trade Center, we are creating a platform to confidently talk about failure and a healthy environment for all early stage entrepreneurs to understand that even the big successful companies had to first go through this stage to get to where they are, as emphasized by Kevin from the last event. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we will start with a fireside chat with Dominique Alonga, the CEO and founder of Imagine Rwanda. She was facing technical difficulties from the past event, but we are very happy to have her with us today. As well, we are joined with Malik Shaffy, a creative and country manager of African Management Institute. Aline Uwase, founder of the Happiness and Yet Chapter Rwanda ambassador, will moderate the session for us. Afterwards, we will have an open Q&A, an opportunity to interact with and ask questions to our special guests this evening. Finally, before we close off, we will have Junior, the partnership manager at the African Management Institute, to share with us about their exciting program for African businesses called Strive to Thrive. But before we get into the fireside chat, which we are all waiting for, I would like to welcome Jenny from the International Trade Center to tell us more about the YET Global Community. Welcome, Jenny.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Alexa, and hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining today. So as Alexa already said, this is a session which is part of many other events which we already organized as part of the chapter in Rwanda. I'll start by introducing myself quickly. So my name is Jenny. I work for the International Trade Center, which is a joint agency of the WTO and the UN. And more specifically, I work for a program called the Youth and Trade Program. And we work to support youth economic empowerment. We do that across two tracks. So one is actually focused on skills development for youth. And the other one, which we primarily work on, is on youth entrepreneurship. And under this second track, we work a lot with the YET community. So that's our global community of youth entrepreneurs. And to give you a bit of an insight, so the YET community is home to around 20,000 young entrepreneurs. We have those both online and offline, and they come from more than 170 countries. And the platform that we have offers a space for youth entrepreneurs to access opportunities, workshops, reports, tools, e-learning courses, and many more things. And with the platform, we're also taking now a more systematic approach in offering a space for all the ecosystem players that work to support youth. So that can mean hubs and business support organizations, but also mentors and network partners. And yeah, so there's this whole digital component to the YET community, but we also really work to stress the importance of our local networks. And the local networks that we have are comprised of what we call the local YEI chapters. So like the one in Rwanda. They are basically led by a youth representative in the country. So in this case, this is Aline as the YEI advisor for ITC2 for Rwanda. And yeah, together with the local incubator accelerator hub as the anchor organization. So in this case, Impact Hub Kigali, represented by Olexa. And yeah, that's it from my side for now. It gives you a bit of a background, and I won't take up any more time. I know that Aline will speak a little bit more in detail about the chapter, and we of course also are very much looking forward to the great lineup of speakers. And yeah, with that, I'll just pass it over to Aline.
Thank you so much, Jenny. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you to everyone who was able to join. My name is Aline Uwase, and I'm founder of The Happiness, and I'm the ambassador or YEI advisor for Rwanda chapter. And I just want to tell you a bit about YEI, but mainly inviting you to join this community of young change makers and young entrepreneurs, where we connect among ourselves, where our leadership are challenged for the best, and where we access business learning tools through the YEI platform, online platform, and also through different activities for the local chapter, including this event, where we have today the opportunity to learn from the front learners of entrepreneurs who was able to overcome different challenges. So this is a great opportunity. If it's your first time joining this event, we have like monthly sessions where we learn on different topics, where we tackle different challenges that we are facing. And currently we are looking to failures, especially during these times of the pandemic, during this time that some of the business needs, let's say, for example, investment to be able to move to the next level. So we are going to have this opportunity to learn. There are much more opportunities to learn. So I invite you to join YEI by going online, find out about YEI, and then register to join the community online. But at the same time, keep joining the activities that we have every month. So that is a little bit about YEI community, and that's what I want to invite you to. I want to invite you to join and also benefit from. So without further ado, we can go on with our session today, because I don't want to take long of our time while we have so much to learn from Dominique and from Malik. I'm so excited to also learn from these two entrepreneurs and business leaders. I have learned from some of their achievement in the past, and they have been great role model on my side. And this is also the opportunity so that some of you can also learn from them, especially about failures, because often we talk about success, we talk about exciting things, but we forget what it took us, or what it took these entrepreneurs to be where they are. So that's why we have this opportunity to also learn from the challenges, mostly the failures they have been going through, to see if we are going through the same thing, so that we know we don't have to take anything personal, so that we learn from their strategies, how they was able to overcome some of these failures, and also to learn how we can also overcome similar failures, or maybe address same failures. So without further ado, I would like to let Dominique and Malika introduce themselves. I know some of you guys have had the opportunity to also interact with them, or maybe learn from their work. They're doing great things. I'm sure if they talk about themselves, it will be much better, so that we get to get a little bit deeper into the work they're doing, their inspiration, but at the same time, their journey, including the failures they have been going through. So without further ado, I would like to let Dominique introducing yourself on personal level, and then also on, let's say, professional level with the Marginaway. Dominique.
Good evening, everyone. I'm hoping that I'm clear now, because last time technology failed me completely. I did not overcome that failure. Yeah, but if you can hear me, my name is Dominique, and I founded Imagine We Rwanda, which has evolved to become a publishing house here in Kigali. And we are working towards, just growing it, sustaining it, and make it somewhat of a global or regional publisher. on the side, because I believe I'm a multifaceted person, I run a podcast on just different mental issues or cultural issues that we face here in Kigali or in Rwanda. I'm an author as well. And I just love to explore different ways to create content and to express myself and explore, just explore the world, you know. So I'm very happy to be here and to share my experiences where relevant. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dominique. I think we get the opportunity to get to dive deep into Imagineway and what have been the journey when we are getting more into like the failures that you have been going through. But before that happens, we can also hear from Malika. He's a great business person who have been part of different startups in Rwanda, and among them, or maybe most of them, have been very successful, has been doing this different great job that myself, I'm so happy to be able to have this opportunity to learn from him. Malika, you have the floor so that you can introduce yourself and also introduce a bit about your profession.
Thanks a lot, Aline. Yes, as said, my name is Malik Shaffy. I am a creative operator, so that's how I like to call myself, because pretty much all my experience has been mainly involved in creatives and business operations. So currently I am country manager at African Management Institute, which is an organization that was created specifically to support or empower African businesses to thrive. So we do work with multiple entrepreneurs in different perspectives by mainly providing them skills and tools to make sure that their businesses are successful. On the side of that, I have been involved in different startups in Rwanda, being my own businesses or different startups I've been working with. And yes, as Aline said, some of the businesses were successful and others were a failure, to the point that I had to move on and go to do other things and close doors. So yes, so I'm really happy to be here today, and I'll be sharing my journey with you guys. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Malika. You don't have to go that far because we're actually going to go through with, let's say, some of the biggest failures that you have gone through so far. I have gone through your LinkedIn and you have quite an achievement, but I believe that kind of achievement requires a lot of work, including the failures and some of the lost. So if you can list for us three biggest failures that you have gone through. Can you share with us, and then also share with us, let's say, like what was the experience?
Great. It's actually, when someone then starts putting it on the list in terms of asking you name three things, you start getting a pressure. But as an entrepreneur, every day is a failure and every day is a success. So definitely, if you're an entrepreneur, you'll try something that's gonna be successful. But before it becomes a success, you'll have to make a few mistakes. So maybe if I have to name three things, I think one of my biggest mistake or biggest failure I've made in my entrepreneurship journey is to be very excited with a business idea and start without an actual plan. So to be very specific, back in 2015, all the way to 2018, I used to have a restaurant that was named Chap Chap. And if you ask anyone who has visited my restaurant, they really like the food, at least for what I used to get as feedback from my customers. The experience was amazing, and the food was really good. And we created the restaurant really mainly to provide experience. It was about the experience than actually the meal itself. The meal was part of the experience you wanted to sell. But then because I was so excited about doing something different in that way, then when I got my first investment and we really started, I was myself and my best friend, we really started with quite a small investment. So our initial investment was 6 million, and we had full-time jobs. So we just saved up to 6 million. It's like, well, yeah, we can manage to do something different in Nyamirambo, and then let's do it. So we started the business, and then just right after second week, so we realized that we only saved 6 million to put in a business, but we didn't think about running capital. So, and then what people tells you normally, when you're operating a restaurant, if you're lucky, you can start making money before month 6. But technically, when you're planning to have a business like a restaurant, you need to make sure that you have a 6-month running capital. So, by effect, it meant that on the next 6 months during the business, we actually had to either get a loan from someone or use our own salaries to continue investing in business, because we didn't really plan well. So I will say that was really one of the most interesting things in my journey of as an entrepreneur. So still, second example, using ChapChap as an example. So I ran the business until 2018, and from other professional reasons, I had to move out of the country for almost a year. So then what happened was, you can imagine, if you're an entrepreneur running a startup, then be miles away of your business, different time zone, different priorities, a lot of things go wrong. So despite how much people really liked my place, and how business was promising, because within 2 years we had 2 branches, we had 2 restaurants. Then I started receiving a lot of complaints. So imagine you're 1,000 miles away and someone is texting, "Oh, I come to your place and the rice is no longer as the same way I used to have your rice." Or, "I made a phone call to this person and the person was very rude." So, and then very quickly, I realized that I've spent 3 years building a really good brand that people really liked, but my absence just made things very different. So, and then I had to sit with my partner and make a strong decision that says that, look, we've been grinding this. Currently, we really don't have enough time to invest in the business because we have other priorities. How about we just stop the restaurant and then open it again when we are ready, when we have time to invest more? And that's what exactly happened. So we closed it. And for now, I don't have any regret that I did that. It was a failure because I didn't continue. But my biggest lesson I learned from that is that if something is not working, just pause it. And then wait when it's the right time. It's really, you may feel like when you're creating a business, you have a lot of emotional feelings, a lot of attachment. But is that really enough to get your business running? Or you actually need to either re-strategize or invest in something else. So, and even yesterday, and then it's been 3 years when we closed the restaurant, I still get people calling me and asking me if the restaurant is open. So, so the good thing means that when I am ready again to run this, I will open and I will get customers, because I knew the right time to close it before I start killing the brand. So we spent 3 years building a really good brand, but then do we kill the brand and make bad reputation, or do you pause until you are ready? So I guess in terms of running business, those two are one of the things I wanted to I could share. And the third, it's really a failure, but it's not business failure. It's much more failure in myself. About 6 years ago, I met these people whom were starting a business, and literally all they needed 1.5 million, which I could have easily took that 1.5 million and give it to them. They came to me and they asked that to me as a loan. I was like, no, maybe instead of giving this to you as a loan, how about I buy shares in your company? So and then we started arguing a lot in terms of the shares. I wanted more. I really wanted to milk them, which was not really actually fair. And then we got to the point that I realized that whatever I want, they won't give it to me. And whatever they want, I won't give it to them. But we were friends already. So then I decided to be like, look, I'm not going to invest in your business, but I am still happy to give you this as an investment. So you take it, go to use the money. When you have the money, pay me back. So rather than actually me becoming a shareholder. So probably now that is one of the most successful startups or businesses in Rwanda. So I think my 1.5 will have made a lot of money by now. And every time when I see it, I'm like, I could be part of this. I could be really part of this. But if I look that from the money perspective, that was a big failure. Because I will have just gave them the money and probably maybe someone who have bought me out and then give me more, or I'll have still be involved in the business. But at that time, I realized that doing a business is not just enough again. You need to think about who's going to be your partner. Are those people your right business partner, or they're actually good friends? So then I decided friendship over business. So someone may say I'm an idiot to lose money over friendship. So if every time when I think about that in terms of money, I'm like, damn it, I should have really gone for this money. But also when I think about my mental state on what I had as a piece to have friendship over money, I will say that money-wise, that was a failure. Personally, that have never been a failure because I've seen these people. I know when I see them, I'm like, yeah, one day I gave these people 1.5 million and they've made something out of it. So they did pay me back in very many installments. But then I was like, this is fine. I always take credit personally into that. I should give the floor to someone else. But yes, those will be the three things I will share as one of my biggest business failures.
Thank you so much, Malika. This sounds very interesting and a good learning opportunity to even like learn from your experience in investment perspective, knowing that some of us are entrepreneurs who are trying to raise some finances, some small money. It's very interesting to also like see what investors also go through, like what kind of failures they can also go through. It's really amazing. Thank you so much. Dominique, you have quite an experience when it comes to being an entrepreneur and running a successful business. Like you're one of the founder or co-founder with a very successful business in Rwanda, which is making such huge impact, not just let's say like in education perspective, but also when it comes to women. And I know you have gone through so much. Myself, I've been able to join different events like Transform Africa, where he was pitching to investors and so on. And it's quite an experience that sometimes people we intend to underestimate. That's why I would like to let you share about your biggest failures and also share your journey. How have been that journey like? Dominique.
It's very intimidating to speak after Malik. Malik is definitely someone that I think if you've lived in Kigali for long enough, you've seen him through his different companies, Chap Chap, Ikobe, and etc. etc. I think, I mean, I'm just recouping some of the things that he said. In the passing by some opportunities that you see and you're like, I could have been there today. That really hurts. And Malik, thank you so much for sharing that. I would say for me, I fail often, a lot less now in 2021 than I would say about 6 years ago when I started. Imagine we started in 2015. That's 6 years ago. Yeah, that's 6 years ago. So I was 22 at the time. 23. And I had a lot of energy and, trying to change whatever it is that I was thinking I was going to change, right? Unlike Malik here, I saved up about 700,000 Rwandan francs. And I was just like, you know what? I just feel like this is going to work, And again, that's the very youthful immaturity / energy / adrenaline. I will not recommend this as a as a strategy at all, okay? You have to research, do basic market research when you're about to start a company or an idea. Test it among your friends. Is this something you would spend your money on? Or because a lot of the times I think I went through a period where I even pressured people to buy my products, you know, to use my services. You know, if you were truly my friend, you would do that. And a lot of people, I think, got my service out of pity rather than out of quality or out of need or out of, you know, this support. It takes a lot of wisdom to move from support to an actual product that serves a purpose. And anyway, we were very, very lucky. I was very lucky to secure investment 5 months into creating the company, right? Pretty large amount of money. I had no managerial skills at all. Vanangi. Honestly, like, what was I doing? Anyway, so I get this money, and the first thing I do, so I was working with my friend Dolph Banza. He's one of the pioneers in illustrations here in Kigali, and he had been a mentor to me since 2010. So I used to kind of go under his shoulder, and he would show me some stuff. So what happened in 2015 was that he was like, you know what, I have a large enough office, just take a small room here and you can pay me through if I need a voiceover for a documentary, if I need some extra small things that you can do, like a graphic design or a quick edit on a document, that's your payment. But essentially I had a free office for the first 6 months. I wish, looking back, that I would have kept the office to actually gain skills in managing money. But no, the first thing I did was to get myself a nice office in Kachiru, okay? And blow the money. You know, I was like, you know what? We need computers, we need this, we just need things. We just need things. We don't know why we need things, but it's because, you know, this person and this person has this kind of computer, so maybe this is the way to go, or this kind of office. So we were not thinking very long term. Again, that was because I was young. And contractually as well, my staff, I signed contracts and salaries without any calculations, and just vibes. You know, sign a contract and pay the money. So we ran out of this money.
I wonder in how long, because 700, it's a really small amount.
No, 700 sustained us for a very short time. So in May, I started on the 5th of January 2015, and in February we had a small time fundraiser. We raised about $1 million to ship some books from abroad, right? So we shipped over 4,000 books from America, Australia, and Canada, which is what got our work to actually start in February. And then word got out, you know, at the time I was, you know, very young, very cute. So the media was trying to like write articles about this little girl in Kigali trying to do things, right? So, and at the time there was this gender movement of Rwanda, right? Rwanda was supporting women. So I rode that wave, and I'm very grateful that that wave caught me. So there was a lot of exposure. Out of that exposure, we got, I think it was $25,000 in May of the same year. Talk about just being hit by blessings that you're not ready for, right? So then we ran out of that $25,000 in like 7 months, okay? Wow. That's the biggest, I think the biggest, it's not the biggest failure because that was just a learning curve. And I'm very lucky to, so within I had no management or financial skills. So I had just graduated from college. I was just an excited kid. I worked for an NGO called Never Again Rwanda for about 4 months. And then I just was like, you know, at the time there was all these companies. There was Inzuki that was starting, House of Teo, Uzuri. There was this vibe of people starting things. And instead of even approaching them and saying, hey, what can I learn from you? Or I was just like, you know what, I can also do this. So I took my savings. So for me, and I think we can talk about it when we get to it, when your mental thermostat is not rising up, right? So if you're used to managing 300K, which was my salary at the time, if you're used to managing that money, if someone gives you 10 million, you will find a way to go back to the 300K, because that's where your mental state is. That's what you've learned to manage. So what I've had to learn is to lift my mindset and lift my thermostat to be a person that manages more money gradually. But the timing was not correct, because, you know, someone saw this cute, young, small Rwandan lady that had a lot of words and a lot of energy, and they were like, here's $25,000. No paperwork, no deep interviewing, nothing, just vibes. Anyway, so then my thermostat was at that 700K. So I had to go back to my 700K in 7 months. But the only luck I got, we'll get there. So failure number 2, that was a lot for one failure. Failure number 2, I would say, is around hiring. Hiring people. Hiring people is something. It can kill your mental health or build your mental health, kill your company or build your company. I would hire with a lot of low self-esteem, right? Which was like, hey, this is a very small company, come be excited about our vision. And if someone was just willing to even accept to join this company, there's no need for skills, there's no need for even, at the time I wasn't looking at integrity, because I think I was naive. So I hired a lot of people who contributed greatly in running out of that cute grant that, grant/loan, was it a loan that we got, right? So we ran out of that money pretty quickly because of, again, the wrong team. And it took me a while to see that. And also thirdly was that as a woman, and we'll talk about this, I was young, and my team members were either older than me or my age. So sitting in that leadership role was very uncomfortable, which means that a lot of the ideas that I adopted were not coming from feasibility or sustainability or scalability. It was just, I'm too scared to express myself and say what would work. So then, of course, that made us redo a lot of things, confuse a lot of our partners, disappoint a lot of our partners, lose partners because of that learning that I hadn't done. Failing as an entrepreneur, failing is like having to work out or having to eat vegetables. You just need to eat it to be healthier, to have a healthier mindset for the future. But you can't avoid it. You just need to eat it, find a way to enjoy it. There are people who, I know Malik here does a lot of hiking and working out and painful physical activity. It's
yes,
not, but
yeah. Yeah, I just don't want to cut you short. I just want to connect, let's say, what have been your experience with, I know when you are failing or losing something, let's say like when you lost those 20,000 USD in 7 months, the day you realized that you just lost this investment and you could have done it differently, it kind of click in your head, and something somehow change about you as a person. You know, some people go into like some really mental and emotional states which are like very difficult. I don't know if you can, I imagine that you can maybe try to picture for us uh, what was that day? How was it like for you emotionally and mentally, that you realized that you just lost all of these resources, which is quite some money, and you just lost it in 7 months? I mean, I don't want to say it like just lost, because at the end of the day, you also learned, but in the moment, it also felt like I'm losing. So how was it like?
I think that's not even necessarily the biggest part of the loss, right? Because mismanagement, you don't notice the money going. You don't notice it. You know, after 7 months, it's not a loss that fell. You open your bank account and there's nothing. It was just a declining line. So I was prepared to lose the money because I didn't have any strategies to lift me up at the time. So I was mentally prepared that I'm losing money. I know I'm losing money, but the dread was that, what am I doing? How can I salvage this? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I don't have the right team. So it creates a lot of resentment. It created a lot of self-doubt to even take on more partners on board. I think it was wise to not take more partners on board because I would just have more money to lose. But what happened was a lot of resentment, and a lot of fears, a lot of just, reinforcing my low self-esteem, I'm not good enough, this is bad. It was just bad. And also the team would see that lack of direction, just lack of direction, really, lack of knowledge, lack of wisdom. And of course, it also would destabilize them. It wasn't a stable environment. So then there was this work environment that was, you wake up, something that you were very excited to wake up to, you have this energy. Now it's like a prison. And it took a while for us to get out of that prison. I'm very happy that we got out of that prison, but it feels like that. It feels like someone is strangling you for 7 months.
Yeah. So before I go back to Maliki, I just also want to connect a little bit. Like, what was the response? Let's say you said it was like a journey. You see that you was drowning, but then wondering how you can like stop it. So I just want to understand, like, how did you connect from that lack of skills to the point where you was able to back up yourself? Because some of the business goes through that, and they end up closing, but Imaginary is still running. So I suppose that there was some kind of backup system which was able to help you out.
Yes. Personal savings. I had some personal savings that I had made, but also I am a very creative person. I think some of my friends say that, like, even in the desert, like, if you put me on Pluto or planet Mars, I shall live. So that's one of the qualities that I think entrepreneurs have to develop over time. What we did was, the good thing that we were doing at the time, even though we were losing money, we were still building these libraries that we had said that we were going to build. We were still reaching these kids that we had said we were going to reach. So in those 7 months, we had built, I think, 10 libraries across Kigali, and we had the numbers on our side. And so having those numbers on our side, we were like, how do we change this around? We had created a little bit, Malik was talking about creating a brand, right? We had created a little bit of a brand that could give us the hope that if we approach someone else, they would actually listen. They would actually really listen to us. So we had numbers on our side. And in those 7 months, one of the biggest learning was, you can save money on wood if you use recycled wood instead of, brand new wood for furniture in those libraries. The first libraries were fancy. And some of the other libraries started being, a little bit ugly, and, The quality changed a bit, but we still had the numbers. We still had the confidence. Like if a partner comes to us today, we will take them in the car and they will visit all these locations and see them. So then what we did is we called all these partners. We had an event called the Imagine Bash. The Imagine Bash was a floating support, like a boat. We hosted a fundraiser at our space. We had a few people come and show up. And we raised a lot of money in these small events. At the time in Kigali, extracurricular events were not a thing. So people would either go to a bar or a restaurant and then go home. So this was a little bit innovative in 2015, 2016, to see an outdoor movie, to have a karaoke night, to have all these different activities, to have face painting competitions. They were not the norm. So we used those things to get back on our feet. And then from my experience with Inkstain, which was Dolph's office, we rented one of the offices that we weren't using, and then that paid the entire rent. That's something actually that we kept doing. Even now we have a co-working space that we just don't believe in using all the spaces that we use. If someone comes to our office and say, I like your garden, I'm like, pay for the garden, honey. If someone says, you know, I like your parking lot, I'm like, yeah, I like it. Even walls, we have people who rent walls from us. And so we got so scared that we created so many defense mechanisms to never go back to that place, from renting our walls to renting gardens. You know, some entrepreneurs want, you know, I don't know, to grow some stuff. You know, so we used any resources that we had to raise the money, come back to our feet, but also keep our partners.
Okay, thank you so much, Dominique. Malik, I'm still trying to connect with this decision about investing 1.5 million Rwandan francs. I'm just trying to understand, like, what happened that you was trying to ask, let's say, for more money, and those young people you was trying to invest in, they was giving you, okay, I mean, you was trying to ask for more shares and they was giving you less shares. I'm trying to connect this, not just in investment perspective, but also in business perspective, because at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you might have, let's say, like some cash, and then you are wondering, which product should I be investing in, and so on, especially during these times of COVID, you know, like you're trying to bounce from one idea to another, from one, let's say, product to another. I'm trying to connect, what was the influence that you ended up not investing as a business in a business context in your friends? Instead, you gave them the money so that they would just pay you back.
Yes, thank you. Very good question. So, I mean, look, running a business is not just having one or two products, right? There's a lot of things you need to think about around running your own business. So there is the idea itself. What do you want to sell? There is what Dominique is talking about in terms of the people. Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to bring on board as your partner? Who do you want to hire as people? And there is a whole thing, which is usually the hype of, I want to be different. So what else? What is the uniqueness you want to provide in a business? So there's really a whole lot of things. And that comes with a lot of package in the sense of when you want to make a decision. So if you go with one particular hype on one particular thing and without thinking the entire business ecosystem, that's where a lot of failures come, right? So I wake up in the morning, there is a lack of cooked food in supermarket. And then I get excited. I start making food in my house, and then I start going to deliver, let's say, for example, sandwiches in Sour City. Have I thought about how you process food? How long that sandwich is going to stay in a shelf in Sour City? Have I thought my distribution chain? Am I the right person to go and talk to Sour City so that they can give me a shelf, right? So there's a lot of things you need to think about before you make a business decision. So by the way, when you don't have to have answers to everything, but at least you need to be aware of what you do not know so that you avoid surprises along the way. So back to that, because of all of those things, that's what made me realize that there was a lot of unknown at the moment that could not allow me to make that decision, even if it was a small money. But will I have, very few months ago, actually a few years ago, I was not a mentor, like I was not a person who believed in mental illness. And going through that and speaking to people who have gone through that, it made me really understand the importance of that. And sometimes you make decisions that actually for your own mental health, but you actually you don't even know that you're making a decision for your own mental health. So I guess at that time, what was really important for me, it was not that I can lose this money anyway, right? I can buy an iPhone and it will get lost in a day. It was, I feel more comfortable if I give this money and then the money will come back, rather than wondering if I should trust these people, or after 2 years and start having fights on really small things. So that's really, so then I had time to really question myself, and then ask a lot of questions. This could go wrong, this could go right. And then, as I said, for me, really two very important things in running a business: the people you hire and the people you bring on board as your partners. So if you don't feel like those people will be a good business partner, there's no point of doing that. And someone can be a really good friend to you, a best friend, a sister, or family, but it does not necessarily mean that those people will be good business partner. And the second is, again, you can have a lot of money to pay anyone in the world or nothing to pay someone, but the people are going to bring in your business are very, very important, as what Dominique said. So like those type of questions were the ones that made me basically decide.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting and very, very helpful to also learn from, as ourselves. We're also entrepreneurs and we are learning from these experiences, because often we go through the same situations and we don't know really like what we should be doing. So it's very good to learn from that experience and those input. So like you see that we have been in this COVID, we have been this pandemic, which is now more than a year, and a lot of businesses are suffering from these challenges with the constant like lockdowns and so on. I want to ask, let's say, like from your experience as someone who was approached by young entrepreneurs to invest in their business, or maybe at the same time in a context of an entrepreneur yourself, who was able to invest in some of your own business, or maybe run your own business. Like what, how would you cope, let's say, like to get your business running, especially during this time? Let's say, for example, if you have in a situation where someone is approaching you to, let's say, like invest that 1.5 million, and you find that it's a good opportunity, but on the other hand, we're in this COVID, or maybe you have this product that you think you should be investing in, but yet we have this situation of COVID. So how would you connect both in this pandemic, so that other entrepreneurs who are going through similar situation can learn from your experience in the past, but relating it to the current situation we are in the COVID?
Yeah, well, really good question. So, well, that was one part, basically, maybe I didn't invest, but I have also had other partnerships or investment that really worked well. And then up to the moment, they're still paying off. And it's really very funny asking me the question about how would I cope, because I just recently gone through an exact situation when this person that I really thought that was really cool and had a really cool idea is opening a gallery somewhere outside of Kigali, and was like, look, I'm opening this place, and I think it's gonna be good. I'm trying to get different partners because I cannot run everything. I need someone to manage the hospitality in the place in terms of accommodation and stuff. I also need someone to bring in a restaurant. Would you then have your restaurant here, or would you invest for us to have a restaurant? And I took my brother, we went on the car, 2 hours drive to the place. And I look at the place, really got hyped, and then came back after 2 days when we came back, and there was a second lockdown. And then I was like, so now do I give this person the money or do I hold on? And at that point, again, I had to make a really strong decision of not giving the money, because tourism, hospitality and tourism is not the right business to invest in the current pandemic, because they are the most affected businesses in the current pandemic. So I did not refuse at that time to give money because I didn't have money. I didn't have the capacity. It was just that it was the wrong time. But same time, I opened a new business with my brother that provide creative services, because the businesses we created is not asking us to make an investment, is asking us to create concept, to create ideas that then we are going to sell, which is very on trend during the pandemic. During the pandemic, everyone wants new things. Everyone wants to go digital. Everyone wants to communicate differently. So then we decided to create a whole new business that actually provide that. So I will say that in the current pandemic situation, you really need to think through a lot of things. Is what I'm gonna do the right thing? And then how will that affect? To be honest, COVID is here for the next, I don't know how many years, but I don't think COVID will go next year. So even if when it goes, we will still be in the same challenges, because it's gonna take really long time for our economy to pick up from every damage that COVID created. So, and then if there's one thing that COVID really taught us, I think it's planning. So when COVID came, we had no idea that something is gonna come and shut the entire world. So now at least when you're doing your own business, when you're doing your own risk assessment for your business, you will then have another line. What will happen if the world is closed, right? So I think COVID also really taught us about planning and asking ourselves questions. So yeah, I would say that I will still be very excited about any new business or providing really good advice. But then I'll ask a lot of questions. I will ask a lot of questions to myself, even help my friend to really understand what they are going to venture in. And then I was happy that in the end, that guy actually never opened a restaurant. They decided just to go with a gallery for now, until things are easier, because, and then investing in a restaurant where every 2 weeks you're going under the lockdown, you still have to pay the rent and everything, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, thank you so much, Malika. I think you are right. It's very tricky to know what kind of decision to make during this time, but at the same time, I mean, entrepreneurship, it's about taking all of these kind of risks and try to analyze the market as much as you can and try to be surrounded with, let's say, like best resources in terms of skills and in terms of, let's say, like mentorship. So I believe this is a good example for all of us entrepreneurs who are around here to know, like, to kind of figure out how to actually approach our businesses so that we keep running, but at the same time, we don't lose the necessary resources that we need for our business to keep on going. So I just want to go back to Dominique. Dominique, I've seen that during this time of the pandemic, or maybe just a little bit before, imagine we have been going more digital, you know, because when we know about Imaginary, we know it's really about books. And most of the time, some of us, we are a big fan of physical books, but then there are all of this innovation that you are bringing. I suppose that this has something to do with the situation of the pandemic, or maybe not. Because I'm saying this because going digital has been a big solution for a lot of businesses, and a lot of businesses have been able to strive because of adapting all of this technology. So I'm trying to understand, like, your journey to go digital, if it has something to do with your strategy to cope during this situation of the pandemic.
Yes, yes, and yes, yes. We launched our app in April 2020 because we were like, we're gonna be stuck at home, so we might as well just make some money. Malik was actually one of my advisors. I called him for like an hour and I was like, this is my idea, what do you think about it? He was like, you know what, I really think you should go for it, but here are some things you need to think about. So especially when you talk about entrepreneurship, you know, having someone to run to that you have a respect for in different areas is really important. So I definitely, we launched the app. And one of the learnings, because the app is currently on hold, but one of the learning that we have done is that I think Malik actually said this, you need to learn about the entire ecosystem. Excitement is not enough. Excitement will push you, that's amazing. It's gonna make you stay up at night. It's gonna make you like come up with some creative ideas, make the app look cute, all these different things. But you need to have a basic knowledge of the ecosystem. And the basic knowledge of the ecosystem was that digital accessibility is still very low in Rwanda, right? You have somebody who has 500 megabytes from MTN, and priorities are gonna be like, especially since the ecosystem, again, the telecoms are not the strongest. So then their priority is going to be, let me check what's the latest on Twitter. Let me check what's the latest on Instagram. And they're really quick. So one of the things we learned is that people are really quick on the app because they don't have that bandwidth to relax and be like, oh, you know what, I have unlimited, let me read a book. They don't have that, right? They have 1 gigabyte and they keep receiving these, you know, you have exhausted 80%, you have exhausted 50%. So they're stressed. And ours was a product that relied on them not being stressed in that area. So we, after we closed the app in June 2021. That's when we put it on hold. We were like, you know what, let's, I think that was, you know, with the pandemic situation, our external revenue, because an app is something that you need to keep injecting money into until it gets the right amount of downloads for you to now run off of it. So injection was quite painful because it wasn't breaking even. The revenue from the app was about 45% of what we were injecting in. So which means that we still had to come up with about 55% to keep putting in, you know, so then we decided after a long time, hey, let's close this. And as much as you have attachment, you have, this is your new baby. And sometimes you connect acceptance from society, right? You posted on social media that you've come up with this big brand new idea. You went to the media about it, and now you have to close it. There's a shame that comes with failure that we need to overcome, right? It has nothing to do. One of the things I had to learn very hard is that failing in a business or even failing as a person has nothing to do with my identity as a person. I still have the chance to come back. Just because I have closed a lot of the ideas that I've worked on, you have to learn and to find ways to close them in a way that does not leave thorns, you know, amahwa, not in your brain or around you. So, you know, I mean, I cried a bit. I was like, look, and we have this thing in Rwanda called guchema, right? You know, like, oh my God, you said you were coming up with this app, and now look at you in your bed crying, okay? And you need to separate. I have learned to separate this, you know, because failing is part of the journey. So going digital is something that we've put on hold. What we pivoted, and one of the things that we're doing in the pandemic that I loved, because our sales are up by 30%. This is our best year yet. I don't know how, but one of the things that's happening is that we put out agents, sales agents all over the city. who are getting paid as they make sales. So a lot of young people who were stuck during the lockdown were able to actually make some money over the lockdown by selling our products. So something that we stole from Savage X Fenty, the Rihanna's brand of bras. She would find people all over the world who would wear the bras and kind of publicize it. So we were like, how would that work in Rwanda? So that has helped us survive the pandemic. What else? We have some delivery mottos on the streets now that we would not have even thought about if it wasn't for the pandemic. And it was very easy, especially for this recent lockdown, to just have a pass, you give the number plate to Minafra. Was it Minafra? Malik, was it Minafra? I don't remember, that gives the passes at the time. And then you get a pass and you're back on business, right? So handling the pandemic for me was really interesting and was really detaching from a lot of the concepts that I thought was good. Before I hand back to Malik, the platform, or to you, Ali, I just wanted to say as well, like Malik touched on mental health a bit. Entrepreneurs are some of the people who lose their minds as quickly as possible, right? You have burnout, you have depression, anxiety, and what else? And just like personality disorder completely. And it's very important for us to talk about these things, right? So I've dealt with anxiety from 2015 to 2018 was when I was dealing with the most anxiety and depression, because you have on one hand the media talking about you, you're traveling the world, you're burnt out because you have to keep this image, but the reality is so different, and we are taught to pitch, to talk about how the future of this, and it's not the same. You know, you're talking about, I remember in 2017, we had somebody come in to value our company, my company, and it was valued at like, I don't know, $500,000. You know, this is the value of your company currently. But the reality was, at the bank, you have 200K. So what are you talking, you know, and the media is so you are navigating so much alone. And you have to keep telling your friends, you know, you meet Malik at Java, you know, he's rocking his new phone, and you want to look like him. You want to act like that's what's happening to you, right? So you talk about this disconnect, like, oh, you know, imagine we're doing really great, we are amazing, but in reality it's not. And maybe he wanted to also tell you that things are going down, but you know, you just told him that you're great, so he's also telling you that he's great. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs lying to each other, a lot, and they are losing their minds and they're getting depressed. Some of them are getting a lot of personality disorders. Suicide is on the rise in Rwanda. Drinking problems are on the rise, and hopefully we'll get to that. But take care.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Dominique, and thank you so much, Maliki. This was an amazing session. We will have the opportunity to get you guys to share your last thoughts, especially what you think the public sector, the key players, the acceleration program should do to support more entrepreneurs to strive, especially during this pandemic. But we will have the opportunity to let's say, to share your insight or your, let's say, your overview on that during the question and the question from the audience. The question from audience, which is going to be moderated by Alexa. Alexa, you can take over.
All right, thank you very much, Malik and Dominique. This was very insightful. A lot of tips being shared from market research and testing. You know, talking about the importance of doing proper market research and testing, to integrity over money in business, having the right fundamental skills such as management skills, etc. There's so much that has been shared, but because of time, we cannot continue this. This conversation can go on for even 3 hours, but even what we've been able to learn so far has been amazing. All right, so going to the questions from the audience. Number one, we have a question from Jean-Philippe. He's asking, he's mentioned, he said that thank you both for an insightful presentation. Both of you said entrepreneurship is a journey of mixed failures and successes. How do you minimize the failures looking forward to more successes in the entrepreneurship journey in regard to the Rwandan market? All right, I will hand it over to Malik to start off.
Thanks, Alexa. I think, Jean, this is a really good question. To be honest, I'm not sure if I have the right answer to you, but let me explain this to you from my perspective. I'm sure Dominique will have a different perspective. So in the past, I had, when it comes to entrepreneurship and design thinking, in the past, I had three really good role models. I had Steve Jobs, I have President Kagame, not as a politician, as a design thinker. That's another debate. But for me, he's just beyond a politician. He's more really like a design thinker on how he thinks and then how make sure he puts things together and people together to deliver. And I also had Phil, who is the founder of Nike. And recently, I've been reading one of the richest person, but the most controversial personality in the world, and that is not any other person as Elon Musk. And this person, if you know Elon Musk, he's a risk taker, and I just love the way he takes risks. And it's him against the world. So honestly, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to have that rebellious spirit. We are talking about market analysis. We are talking about being moderate, but you just have to be fearless. And then, by the way, speaking about fearless, this woman, Dominique here, she is one of the most fearless person I ever know. If you ask her how many times in her brain she closed Imagine We, I don't know how many times, but Imagine We has never closed, right? She'll meet a challenge. She'll meet a challenge. I'm sure I've thought about something like that. You never tell me this, but just knowing the journey, I'm sure I've thought about this. But just having that strength of fighting and never close, and then always come up with a solution. Like now she's selling books, like you can customize your own book for your own kids with your own name. Where do you get this in and elsewhere? You know, like you really have to be very fearless. And your fear, your fear would allow you to think a lot of things, right? You see, for example, if you're on the top of the building and you want to jump, you ask yourself a lot of questions. It's like, okay, I am on level 20 and I want to jump. What does that mean if I want to jump, right? It means that if I jump, I will die, right? So I still want to jump, but how can I jump without dying? And then you need a parachute or you need the harness, right? So you are still taking a risk to jump, but you are asking yourself question, how are you going to jump in a safe way? So that's what it means to be an entrepreneur. You need to take risks. You need to think about, then how am I going to take my risk in a very safe way?
That's amazing. You need to be fearless. Dominique, would you like to add more on that before we go to the next question?
The only thing I'd like to add is that we have to consider that the Rwandan market is a very unique market in and out of itself, right? We have a very unique culture that it's very important to invest in knowing that culture, right? So at least for Imagine We, right? The reading culture was almost non-existent when we started, right? So for instance, Rwandans love things that are very connected to their status, you know? So for instance, again, I'm going to pick on Malik because I know he's my friend, the guy that I will pick on today. Malik is very clear on his image, on his brand, right? He will want to look a certain way and he will want to be seen in certain places and be associated with a certain brand, right? So it's okay for him to invest in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Motions products or Nike products or Apple products, right? Malik. And of course, obviously that's very the elite side of things, but Rwandans are very connected to, you know, what do I want to look like? What do I want? So having done research on when they buy a product, they are buying the connection and the community behind this product, right? If I have this, then people are going to think of me like this. And thinking about this and knowing this about our market is very important. And then Rwandans are the types of people that we love very much, obviously, because I'm Rwandan, but turaharara, right? So we are going to love cocoa bean for 2 months. If you are smart, you're going to want to say, okay, they will love me for this time. I need to innovate in the middle to keep their attention. They need their attention to be kept consistently. And incorporating that in what you do is very important. So how do we minimize, at least at Imagine We, how we minimize failure is we create barriers to risk, right? I'm very big on learning risk. What risk? Okay, so Malik mentioned the new book that can be personalized. What's the risk? And how do we minimize? The risk number one is raw materials, right? Raw materials is very hard to get here in Rwanda, especially in the design that we want. Who can pay for it, right? So we create another product on the side that is much cheaper, that will fund the idea and the prototyping stage, right? So let's say, again, back to the example of Motions. Motions is saying, you know what, I have this new dress that's going to be 900,000 Rwandan francs, right? But then to fund this dress, he might say, let me come up with a cardigan that will be 100,000, that will kind of, so I don't have to invest right away. So it's very low money and or production. Anyway, giving an example on another company is very hard. But what we do is we come up with a cheaper, low production project to fund the new idea and to slowly sustain the new idea until it's on its own feet. And we consider each book at Imagine We as its own product, and it has its own bank account. Like, well, not physically, but in our documents. So it helps us mitigate risk. And collaborate with people. We're working with a company called Kagaman for our illustrations now. And in return, they say, you know, we need a room to rent for 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So then we mitigate the investment by providing a space that we already have. So how do we learn to mitigate? You know, collaboration is so important, and it helps us in terms of early investment. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that, Dominique. I'll go to the next question. Even though we're running out of time, I'll quickly go through the next question from Donat, which says, thank you for this great conversation. I would like to ask our speakers how to cope with fear and failures at different stages. The fear to start something. Number one, the fear to start something new or different. Number two, managing the up and down related to running a business. And number three, coming back or raising from total failure. Example, business closure. Again, we can start with Malik. Thank you.
Great, thanks. What was number one? So the fear of starting something new. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I guess this is pretty much some of the things we've talked about. The fact that you're going to start something new, it's actually a fear itself, right? You're going to start something new. You don't know how the world is going to take it in. And then you need to really understand how are you going to introduce that to the world, because you are going to introduce a new culture. So like Dominique just talked about it, imagine really trying to be a millionaire in a country like Rwanda where there was no culture of reading, right? So it means that you are not only going to sell books, but you're also going to teach people how to read and then tell them that reading is good. You see, so it's really okay to start something new, and then it's okay to have that fear, as long as you've thought about what you're going to do around that fear. So, which quite often in our environment in Rwanda, it will come with education. So you have to think a lot about you are introducing a new culture, and then how you're going to basically let people know about your culture. And then second, managing the up and down related to running a business. So I guess, again, this is what we've talked about. I won't really take much more time on this, but this again connects to your mental health state. So you have to be healthy mentally. You cannot manage a business when your mental health is not good. So, and then people really cope with their mental illness in different way. I'm not a mental health expert, but what I will say here is that just make sure that you're in the right state of your life, because running a business is a challenge. Do you know, this is no, I cannot use this example. So yeah, I mean, so it's basically is that you need to make sure that you are in the right place to think and you're in the right place to react. So if you don't have that, then pause, go to find that, and then come back. And then last, coming back of raising from a total fail, example, business closure. You know, that you close, rather than killing yourself to a business that will never work, shouldn't you just close it and then write a book about everything you've learned about that, and then say, I'll never make these mistakes? Because there's things that happens to you when you are trying to do something that will never work. So one, you lose a lot of money because you keep investing in something that will never give you return. Second, you lose credibility. People start really losing trust in you because you keep selling them things that never exist. And three, again, you're creating damages to yourself because you will think that you're the problem, and yet your business is the problem. So now, talking to what Dominique talked about in terms of personal attachment. So if you're so much attached to something, or if you want the world to see you in a very perspective way. So if I want people to always consider me as a CEO, right, it will be hard for me to close my business, because people will be, he used to be a CEO of this company, but now maybe he works somewhere else as a operations manager or director of something, right? And that Dominique just said that I want to really repeat, it's different. It's you and what you used to do. So it's time then to leave that behind and then go to something new. It's okay to fail as long as you're learning from your failure.
It's okay to fail as long as you're learning from your failure. Thank you very much. I'll now go to Dominique to also give us her response on that, and then we can give it to Junior to introduce to us the Strive to Thrive by the African Management Institute. Thank you.
Maybe to even emphasize what Malik said right now, allowing yourself to close a business gives someone else the courage to choose their mental health as well. You know, I have a friend who, when she closed her business, at the time I wanted to close Imagine Me, because I'd be wanting to close Imagine Me every day. Now I'm good because I haven't had that thought in a few months now, so I'm succeeding. But when she closed the business back in 2018, I cried because I was like, I wish I had your courage. You have to understand that it takes equal courage to run a business and also to close it. And we need to start creating a community that supports people who are going to that phase of closing, to not make fun, to not poke them. Kutabarimisi. Kubarimisi is something that Rwandans, we love to do. So if we create a community that says, you know, we saw you, and when you're ready to start something else, we will be there. That gives more courage. In the US, you find people who close things every other week. It's not even, they don't even, I don't know what the conversation would be there, but I'm not from the US, so I can't speak on that. But let's create a community that allows people to explore that, their mental health and their talents in better ways. And to quickly answer the fear to start something new or different. I don't know where you're at in life, but there are lots of motivational people who will say, you know, just jump and jump and jump. I would say, start slowly, right? A lot of Rwandan entrepreneurs, and I don't know how many are here in this platform, start businesses to survive, to live life, to pay school fees, to pay rent, to feed their children, right? It's not go, I've come up with this innovative idea like Elon Musk to take people to Mars. No, that's not where we are. We are at like, I need my kid to go to school. So for this to be successful, right, you want to humble yourself, to ask people questions, to allow for advice before you start. The more people you allow for advice that you trust, don't come over here and let the haters in your life, but the more people you ask for advice, the people you respect, if they tell you it's feasible, that will increase, one, your confidence, and it will give you some beginning tools to start. So we have places like BPN that you can just call and say, here is an idea, does it work? You have this platform of Yay, you can say, hey, I'm trying to make mishanana out of bamboo fibers. I don't know what your idea is, but the more advice that you get, the more confidence you will have and the more tools you will have to actually succeed. Question number 2 is managing the up and down related to running a business. Yes, because 3 years ago, every month I would say, I'm closing Imagine, I'm closing it. No, I'm out. And one of the things that has helped me is grit. Grit is a new word. People are using this word every day, but to stick with things. Discipline is when you do things that are not enjoyable, okay, but for the long run will give results. So some meetings are boring or downright horrible. Some clients are racist. Some other ones take 6 months to pay. All these issues that you face, right? But instead of deciding to close, there's this hope of, I started this and it has potential. Learning how to manage this, this is a no going back kind of situation. So let's say if the government said, you know what, now we're going to put 80% tax on books. For me, there's no going like this. So there's an area that you say, this is for me to close. And you have friends. I'm very lucky to have people, mentors to say, okay, this is, you can't surpass this. But most of the things we can surpass, the ups and downs. You have a client that is not paying you on time, right? What other things can you do? How are you doing risk mitigation? Risk mitigation is very important. Putting all your eggs in one basket is quite scary, right? So making sure that you have the basics covered. I know what's going to pay my rent. I know what's going to pay my salaries for my team. The rest is for growth. You have a plan for growth. You have a medium plan. You have a short-term plan and a long-term plan. So it's not just passion. I feel cute, I feel energized, and I'm going to do it. No, it has to be planned, and that will help you in the ups and downs. Lastly, coming back from total failure, come back. If someone tries to make fun of you from having failed, at least you tried it, right? At least you tried it. And, feel free to punch them in the face as well. No one has the time. Anyway, maybe don't punch them in the face, please. But
all right. Don't punch them in the face. Thank you very much, Dominique. We really went over time, but please sign up to the platform and you can have all of your questions answered. The community online platform, you can connect with all the speakers and have all your questions answered, because we cannot be able to answer all the questions for now. So I would now welcome Junior to come and tell us more about the Strive to Thrive program, which will be very beneficial to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alexa. Hi, everybody. My name is Junior. I'm with the African Management Institute. Well, technically, Malik is my boss. Hi, boss. I am the partnership manager at the African Management Institute, and I've had a conversation with the leadership of of the YEA community here in Rwanda and globally about finding ways to extend the capacity building trainings that we have to offer for entrepreneurs in Rwanda. So AMI came to Rwanda in 2018 after being founded out of Nairobi in 2014, and what we specialize in is to offer capacity building that sees real impact in African businesses, meaning that instead of bombarding you with syllabuses and case studies that are not applicable to the African market, we try to offer capacity building that is not only relatable, but also very practical for entrepreneurs to be able to use in the businesses. So since we started here, we came under the invitation of the Mastercard Foundation that has been offering, that has been gracious enough to sponsor the trainings, meaning that all the trainings that we offer in Rwanda are not paid for by the entrepreneurs or the organization we work with. They're fully sponsored. And at the moment, we have a great opportunity for entrepreneurs here in Rwanda in all sectors that is coming from the Mastercard Foundation's will to support businesses during the pandemic that we're going through. So this effort is called the COVID Relief and Recovery Program, or CRRP. And through CRRP, we have a training called the Survive to Thrive program. When I approached the leadership of YEA community, the idea was to get an opportunity to offer up this training to the network of YEA community here in Rwanda. There's also talks about extending it to the other communities in other African countries, but Rwanda will be the first one to join our AMI program. So the Survive to Thrive program is a 4 months long program that is mostly centered around helping entrepreneurs weather the pandemic. Over the 4 months duration of the training, it's divided in 4 phases. The first phase looks at the rapid response and planning every business should go through in order to understand their position and what decision to make in order to successfully weather the pandemic. So we help them set up a solid goal and a smart goal, and together with risk assessment metrics that will help entrepreneurs be very realistic about the situation of the businesses and what to do next. The second phase, which is the second month, focuses on understanding the customer and the market. So we look at the customer profile, what kind of competition you're dealing with, but also how do you position yourself strategically in order not only to survive, but also to let your business thrive. The third phase focuses on business performance. It's very important to know how to manage your purchases and expenses and sales books and stock book. And the fourth phase focuses on your people, how to motivate them, how to communicate them, but also how to communicate them when things are going bad. So all of this learning is based on 3 principal approach. The first approach, the way AMI does impact, is focused on human-centered learning, meaning that instead of giving you boring PowerPoints and long lectures, we put entrepreneurs in cohorts where they get to interact with each other and share experiences. Also, we find that it's better to learn from other problems, other people's way of solving problems, rather than trying to figure out everything yourself. The second way we do learning is through tools and toolkits. And we managed to successfully do that by offering very practical tools and very practical content that businesses and entrepreneurs can apply directly into the businesses. And the last way we do it is through our online platform and our mobile platform. All the content is available virtually, and it takes very little data, meaning that you can access it anytime, anywhere. So once entrepreneurs have successfully completed the 4 phases and the four trainings, and once they've completed what we call post-program surveys, we have a celebration graduation ceremony, and candidates are given a program certificate. But then we have a bit more for that. For everybody that graduates from the program, we give you access to our growth network, and our growth network gives you access to our exclusive platform, access to a network of tens of thousands of entrepreneurs on the continent and here in Rwanda, but also most importantly, additional content will be shared on a regular basis on the platform that you'll be given access once you've gone through the program. So the reason why I'm here and the reason why Alexa and the team have given me an opportunity to speak to you today was to share this Survive to Thrive training opportunity to businesses within the YEA community, but also make you understand that we've realized with our experience that in times like this, the time we're in, the times of major change and quite traumatic experiences businesses are going through, it is the right time to rethink about how you do your business. And the best way is to do that through learning. And we have an opportunity that will come at zero cost to you or the year community, and it will definitely be a way to advance yourself and your business. If you're interested, we have a specific application link that we developed for the year community network. That information will be shared by the year community leadership. And also we have additional content that you can go through, but also you'll be given access to the AMI Rwanda team here in Rwanda to ask any questions you might have about the training program. So I know you guys are already way over time, so I'm not gonna go on for any longer. I can talk I like the sound of my voice, but I'm very, very passionate about this training. So if anybody has a question regarding this training, please feel free to do so right away. Thank you, Alexa.
Thank you, Junior. Anybody with a question regarding what Junior has just presented to us? Feel free to type it in the chat box if you're unable to unmute yourself.
What I can also do, I'm going to type in my email address in the chat. If you have any question that you might think of a bit later, but we were going to share a bit more information about the training through the year leadership community, the year community leadership. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop me an email.
Perfect, thank you. The email is in the chat box. Feel free to ask any question to Junior. Perfect. Without any further ado, I would like to once again thank you all for joining us. To our amazing speakers, Malik and Dominique, you really shared amazing thoughts with us. You were very vulnerable and went down and spoke with your heart and about all the failure moments you've experienced and how you learned from each moment. And as you all really mentioned and emphasized is that failure is okay as long as you're willing to learn from it. So we're not encouraging you to go out there and fail and just keep failing. No. Learn from it, be careful, be strategic in all of your actions, and also understand that it has happened to others before. So if it happens to you, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, thank you very much. As you can see, we've presented our final slide. We would like to really encourage you all to stay tuned with all our conversations on our different social media platforms. And if you have any other concerns, any other topics that you really feel like you want to hear from, also let us know. We'll be happy to bring those topics to you. So I would like to request from all of you, I know we've all been here for a really long time and we must be tired. It's the evening, but please, if you can, open your cameras. Let's take a selfie and keep this memory, because it was a great 1 hour and 37 minutes, and we really ought to remember this. Please open your cameras. Let's take a selfie. Sorry, it will be more of a screenshot. But to really keep this memory and look forward to the next one. Yes, I can see people have already started opening their cameras. Yes, thank you all, Jean, Fabiola, Cedric, Muhirwa, all of you. Thank you very much. And the rest, let's go. So I will count up to 3 and then I'll take the screenshot. Maybe if you can do something like a peace sign or a yes, anything that is comfortable for you. Okay, somebody is. Great. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, it didn't work. Sorry, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, my laptop is just acting up. Maybe if
you want me to take it?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's hope this works. Okay, 1,
right.
2, 3. Ooh, 1 second. Okay, I got it.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you very much. This was amazing. Anything you would like to share, Jenny or Aline, or the speakers, Dominique and Malik?
Yeah, I just really want to thank you. I mean, we've gone way over time, but I think it's testament to how great the conversation was. You know, we really couldn't cut you off at any point, and I feel like we could have even continued for longer. I think you both spoke so candidly, and I really want to thank you for that. I don't know, it's really inspiring, because I feel like, you know, not only did you overcome those challenges, and did you find solutions to you know, the failures that you faced, but I feel like you're even at a point where you can speak about them super confidently, and where you really, you know, stand behind those actions, and they brought you to where you are now. So I thought it was really special. And yeah, and I want to thank Alexa and Aline. I know they put a lot of effort into bringing these sessions to the community, and I think they turn out so nicely. And yeah, it's really, I just really think you're doing great work, and we're really happy to be hosting these events with you every month. So thanks to everyone, and thanks to all the participants for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jenny and Alexa. Thank you so much to Maliki, Dominique, and Junior. I just want to say two things. The first thing is that Year Community, it's a safe place for us young entrepreneurs to learn from each other, to fail, and keep supporting one another. So no burnout in case that there is this community. You can talk to the others. We have a WhatsApp group where we share different opportunities and different ideas. There's also the Year platform, online platform that I told you about. You can Google it at Year, search like Year Community or Year by ICT Community. And then you join also the program. The second thing is about what Junior said. This program is a big deal. So for everyone who's here, and you who knows your friends, this is an amazing program that we all need. During this time of the pandemic, we need a lot of skills. We need to be together. We need to learn from each other. We kind of really need to work on ourselves. And this is a great opportunity that African Management Institute is bringing to us. So I really hope you guys, you get in touch, join this program so that you can learn. I think from the way I've seen the program, it's designed to help any entrepreneur at any scale. So because there's really like a lot of different topics and perspective that it's going to be bringing into our businesses. So I would really like to invite you all, and also invite you to invite your friends, so that we join this program. We'll be communicating the updates about when the program is going to start and everything else through the WhatsApp groups and via the emails. But I really want to invite you to look forward for this program. And thank you so much for everyone who joined the event.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.